All right, an awesome show on tap for today's Philadelphia 76ers now. But before we talk some Sixers, make sure you subscribe to the show. You know how the saying and song goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sixers. Well, how about this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, subscribe, especially if you're looking for some year-round 76ers coverage. Look, NBA draft is coming up. There's been some buzz about the Sixers trading into that second round to maybe take Amani Bates. If that happens, we have some awesome draft analysis cooked up for you. But right after that, about a week later, NBA free agency starts, leading us into 4th of July. This is the most pivotal Sixers offseason that I can really ever remember, and we're going to cover it every step of the way with insightful, informative, entertaining analysis. We just surpassed 10,000 subscribers. Let's continue to grow the Sixers empire. Lock us in and hit that sub button. As for what we're talking about on today's show, according to Ramona Shelburne, she said, look out for James Harden signing with the Phoenix Suns. And Chris Haynes, who used to work for NBC Sports Pacific Northwest, has covered the Portland Trail Blazers in the past, is really close with Damian Lillard. He threw in the Sixers as a potential trade destination for Damian Lillard. So let's start here with this guy here to my right and this guy right here in James Harden. Ramona Shelburne, keep your eyes on James Harden to the Phoenix Suns. And I'm wondering here, is this just a leverage play by James Harden? More on that coming up here in just a few moments. Here's what Shelburne had to say, though, on the radio. The Phoenix Suns don't waive Chris Paul unless they feel pretty good about somebody else. And I want you to keep your eye on James Harden. I don't want to report anything, but that was in the wind for the past month or so. Everybody thinks it's Philly or Houston, but I don't know. There has been discussions in the wind. Now, Ramona Shelburne is a very well-respected reporter who covers the NBA. I know she got body bagged by Eric Spoelstra after Game 2 when I actually thought she asked a really good question. She knows ball. And the question was about making Nikola Jokic a scorer, not a passer. That's exactly what the game plan was from the Miami Heat, in my opinion. So I didn't like how Spoelstra said that, but she's been on point with a lot of reports throughout her journalistic career. And it does make sense for a couple of reasons if Harden were to go there, because there was some chatter that we talked about on the show back about a month ago that James Harden, according to him and his camp, he wants to go somewhere where he can win. And the Houston Rockets, that might be the destination in which he has family members living in Houston. It might make some sense for a homecoming there. But if he wants to win an NBA championship, it's the Sixers. It's a team like the Phoenix Suns. It's not the Houston Rockets. But a couple of thoughts here. Is James Harden using this as a leverage play? He is putting it out in the wind, as Ramona Shelburne said, I could go to Phoenix, I could go to Houston, I could go to Philadelphia, I could go to another mystery team. What that then leads to is maybe a bidding war for James Harden's services, and also is Brian Windhorst, who is saying he could get a 4-year, $200 million contract, $50 million average annual value. I would be surprised if a team pays James Harden that much money when he's 33 years old. But is he trying to get all these teams together to enter a bidding war and use it as a leverage play? That's a possibility. Also, while the Phoenix Suns might make sense, do they make sense with the current head coach who's on that bench now and Frank Vogel? Because Frank Vogel has always been known, Wildwood guy, by the way, for all of you with Philadelphia area roots, Jersey Shore, what up, is a defensive coach. So Vogel's a defensive coach, and James Harden is, in what Nick Roloff would say, a horrific defensive player. And Harden has already played with Kevin Durant, right? And it didn't work the first time, so could Harden and KD work again? I actually think Chris Paul, who doesn't have to score the basketball that much and is more of a distributor as compared to Harden, who needs the rock in his hands to score and likes to score and didn't like playing for Doc Rivers because of those reasons, isn't as good of a fit on that Suns roster for those reasons that I talked about. But if you're trying to chase a ring, as I said earlier, then it does make some sense. Here's Jake Fischer on James Harden here. The Rockets harbor plans to invest in winning additions to Houston's 3-year rebuild, but have so far only been linked to the franchise's former all-star centerpiece in James Harden, as well as other potential veteran newcomers who could slot alongside Harden should he spurn Philadelphia on the open market. And for that, should Harden ultimately stick with the Philadelphia 76ers, Raptors point guard Fred VanVleet has often been linked to Houston as a secondary option who could perhaps slot into the team's lead ball handling role. And it's funny because if the Rockets don't get James Harden back, they could go Fred VanVleet. And if the Sixers don't see James Harden return, they could go Fred VanVleet if they don't believe that Tyrese Maxey can take that next leap and basically be Jamal Murray to Joel Embiid like Jamal Murray is to Nikola Jokic. Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter. You see it down below at Chase_Senior, as well as my Instagram page. It's the same handle at Chase_Senior. Do not be a stranger. Give me a follow, slide in the DMs, and say what's up. Also, it's June 9th, 6/9. Are you excited? Summer's coming up around the corner, and it's June 9th. It's a great day. Type 69 in the comments section. You see what I did there? The real ones now. All right, Damian Lillard to Philadelphia. Let's round out today's show with this. So Chris Haynes, I talked about his connections to Dame a little bit earlier. So when it comes to the Dame front, when there's been trade buzz in the past, Chris Haynes has pretty much shot it down, saying he's going to stay loyal to the Pacific Northwest and to Portland, where he basically moved his entire family and all of his friends up to that area. But there is some chatter now about Damian Lillard getting traded this offseason. And Chris Haynes, on with the Dan Patrick Show boys, said the Nets, Heat, and possibly the Philadelphia 76ers could be trade spots for Dame. He said he will not go to the Boston Celtics, which is good news for all of us because the Celtics are the Sixers' daddy. For Damian Lillard, Dame, you're a great player. You're one of the best bucket getters that we have ever seen. But you have been irrelevant for far too long in the Western Conference, playing for the Portland Trail Blazers. I appreciate your loyalty to that organization, because they drafted you out of Weber State, and you've gone on to have a terrific career. It is time to rip the Band-Aid off. You have a couple of prime years left. You just averaged the most points per game in a season that you have in your entire career. We want to see you on the big stage. We want to see you playing for a winner. We've seen you knock down shots from 35 feet in a couple of playoff series with Portland. We saw you make that one run to the Western Conference Finals in 2019 before you got dusted by the Golden State Warriors. It is time for you to demand a trade and go somewhere that increases your marketability and allows you to really let people know how special of a player you are. Is that the Philadelphia? We'll see. I think the Sixers' offer for Dame is far too high with the asking price. Liberty Ballers with this trade idea, which would completely gut the Sixers roster. Now, Sixers get Damian Lillard. You pair him up with Joel Embiid. That's certainly fun. But then the Blazers receive Tyrese Maxey, also known as Philadelphia's son, Tobias Harris on that expiring contract, DeAnthony Melton, Jaden Springer, and a bunch of pick swaps. I would do this trade. I think that Tyrese Maxey, who's only 22 years old, who's gotten better every year that he's been in the NBA, who's continued to improve and hone in on his craft, which Ben Simmons would never do, does have superstar-type potential. And I've brought this talking point up a couple of times. Can Tyrese Maxey become a Jamal Murray-like player next to Joel Embiid? The numbers in his first 3 years are actually better than Jamal Murray's numbers in his first 3 years. I'm bullish on Maxey, and this trade completely guts the Sixers roster. You lose a potential superstar in Tyrese Maxey. You lose a starting wing in Tobias Harris. You lose a critical bench piece in DeAnthony Melton, who kind of has some dog in him. And then Jaden Springer, I don't really think he can play, but what then happens? You lose 2 starters, you get back 1. You lose a critical 6-man. And where are you going to turn when you're paying Dame a lot, Embiid a lot, and you don't have a lot of depth on this team? And that's been an issue for this squad over the last couple of years. Now, Dame could certainly play, right? After an injury-plagued 2021-2022, in which his shooting numbers were way down, he averaged a career-high 32.2 points per game, 7 dimes, although it's not known as much of an assist man. He's just a straight cold-blooded assassin bucket getter. 46% from the field, 37% from three. That's awesome because of the volume there. He is awful defensively as well. So Maxey's a better defensive player than Damian Lillard as well. But in terms of getting buckets, in terms of putting the biscuit in the basket, high-level leverage playoff moments, Damian Lillard is fantastic. So the big question here, would you trade Maxey for Dame? I wouldn't. I have concerns about how a smaller guard ages with all the tread on the tires. It'd be an all-in move for the next 2 years, but then what happens after that? Y for yes, N for no. Give me a follow, Twitter and Instagram, at Chase_Senior. Appreciate all of you for watching the show. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you next time here on Philadelphia 76ers Now. Y'all are the best. Appreciate you all for rocking with us.